Hello, my twisted lovelies. Welcome to another attempt at bringing some life back into my YouTube channel. I am super excited and really happy to be able to be with you guys on this beautiful, sweltering hot June day in my lovely new wig that I got from Haha Anime there in St. Louis, where I reside. So you're like, what's going on? What's on your mind? Okay, that's what I'd be wondering. Except I want to start with, the hashtags that I plan to apply to this video is hashtag pansexual pride and hashtag LivingFlawlessly, because those are the things that I want to talk about. So for me, I'm outside trying to enjoy the day, get some vitamin D. Apparently I'm deficient. But I want to talk about what pansexuality means to me. As many of you know, as you guys know, I run a cosplay page, and I had someone message my page asking questions about pansexuality because they didn't understand what the difference was between pansexuality and bisexuality. And I know a lot of people feel this way, like, what, isn't that the same thing? Isn't being pansexual just another way of saying you're bisexual? And really it's not, because my experience now, I am not trying to speak for anyone else, my experience has been that bisexuality is very binary. You are attracted physically, personality-wise, all the way around to both males and females. And there are plenty of bisexual individuals that are open-minded about transgendered and gender fluid individuals, and more power to them. But bisexuality there's a piece that's involved that is not as prominent, in my opinion, with someone who is pansexual. Bisexuality, the aesthetic, the appearance, the biology does still make a difference for me as someone who is pansexual. It's not all about being attracted to pans. I have seen the memes. But it's about being attracted to the person's personality, their mind, who they are, versus what they look like. The aesthetic doesn't play as big of a piece with someone who is pansexual versus someone who is bisexual. So I've been through a very long journey. When I first came out, the only orientation labels that I knew about, and we can have the whole discussion about how labels are stupid and we really just shouldn't apply them, but the only labels I knew about were gay, lesbian, and bisexual. So when I first started coming out in high school, I identified as bisexual, because that's what I thought, because I had a boyfriend and I liked my boyfriend, but I liked girls too. So that meant I had to be bisexual. Well, then I got into a relationship with a very overly confident, very black and white thinking woman who identified as lesbian, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to knock anybody. But she told me that I wasn't really attracted to men, and she made me think that I wasn't really attracted to men. And when I thought about the male physique, it wasn't all that appealing, so I kind of went along. And so for many years, I self-identified as a lesbian. Even now, I really feel like I fell in love with my best friend, and he just happened to be male. So I do have a stronger pull toward women. I don't know if it's the personality. I feel like it's the personality differences, and it's not so much about male biology versus female biology. So for many, many, many years before you all would have known me, I identified as a lesbian. And there were friends of mine who had known me since high school who were like, I really don't think you're a lesbian. I mean, I'm not gonna knock you. I'm not gonna put you down, but I really don't think you're a lesbian. And in case you're wondering, yes, that is gold glitter all over my face. Because, well, why not? Kind of a practice run for going to Metro East Pride, which is the St. Louis area's Pride that is on the Illinois side of the river. Planning to go to that tomorrow with Baby. But now that I've reined in that squirrel, so for many years I identified as a lesbian, even after I got together with DJ. I identified as a lesbian. But then I started learning about opening myself up to and learning more about other gender identities, other sexual identities, other orientation labels that people use. And I learned about pansexuality. I was like, what's that? Well, I came to learn that it was about the person, not the parts. That's the easiest way to sum it up. Is someone who is pansexual cares about the person and not the parts attached to them. I am attracted to males, females, gender non-binary, gender fluid. I've seen some very beautiful trans people that, so I am pansexual because for me it's about the person, not the parts. The person is so much more important than whether they look like they just walked out of a magazine or whatever your physical preference is. For me, the preference is the person. It's knowing who they are, and who they are matters to me way more than what they look like. So, sorry, my thing went dim. I hope that doesn't go out. So, that's the pansexual pride part, because even here in Gay Pride Month, we all deserve it. Pansexual, heterosexual, heteroflexible, bisexual, lesbian, gay, demisexual, gender fluid, transgendered, and I could go on, and I'm sure I am missing a ton of identification labels that people have created to better fit who they are over the years. And that is amazing. The fact that we live in a world where we can decide, no, this label doesn't fit me, let me figure out what does, or let's just start a new one because, well, the society demands labels. Society demands labels, so, that's okay. But if you must put a label on me, label me pansexual, because it's about the person, not the parts. Living Flawlessly was the second half. I am taking a cue from my dear friend Orange Juice Cosplay. He is also on YouTube, and I suggest you check him out. And he is on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all over the place because he is amazing. He's kind of, I keep joking because the OC character that I cosplay and the character that he cosplays, or he's getting ready to cosplay, I keep calling him my space dad because he's just always kind of looking out for me and there when I need a pickup, kind of like a dad. So I'll take it, even though I'm probably older than he is. So Living Flawlessly is not just, it's more than body positivity, which is important, but that's part of it. It's more than acceptance. It's celebrating those things that make us who we are that we have previously might have been embarrassed by or ashamed of. And he spoke on his video, and his first video, and I watched it, and I was like, oh my gosh, we really are, there really is a connection, because we actually happen to have one visual condition in common. I talk a lot about body positivity and the fact that I am a plus-sized woman and that I am beautiful despite, regardless of my size. I speak a lot about LGBTQ acceptance and fair treatment and not to bully and all of those things. But what I don't talk a lot about is my visual impairments. because I feel like they're limiting and they make me weaker and I am embarrassed. I'm okay with saying I'm visually impaired, but to go into the details, it's a whole different matter. So for me to say I am visually impaired, and that's what that means is I actually have 3 visual conditions. I have strabismus, which if I take my glasses off for long enough, one of my eyes, my left eye, crosses inward. It makes it very difficult to focus on things. It makes my eyes have difficulty working together the way that they're supposed to. I have very poor hand-eye coordination, which is why I can't play an instrument, which really stinks. I took piano in college, and I could play chords, and I could do this hand to do something, and I could get this hand to do something, but I couldn't play a song because I couldn't get them to do anything together. So, and then I also have a condition that's called Nystagmus. Mine is latent nystagmus. It is much less pronounced, and typically you have to, for you to really, really notice it, you have to take off my glasses and cover one eye. And there are individuals that have it much more severely than I do. But it is a constant movement or twitching of your eyeball, of your eye. It also impedes with focusing, and it can affect your depth perception and other pieces of your vision that make things like driving more challenging. A lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people with nystagmus are impacted in that sense, that they can't drive because that ability to focus and that ability to have the visual acuity that you need is impacted. And then I also have an astigmatism. So between all of that, with the astigmatism is, you'd think, oh, well, that can be corrected with LASIK. Except that they can't do LASIK, because for LASIK your eyes have to stay extremely still, and the nystagmus makes that pretty much impossible. And the strabismus doesn't help. So I have visual acuity that is not too far over the line of what would be considered driver safe, but because of all of the effects of all 3 of those conditions, I can't drive. I am impacted by that visual impairment, and I get really embarrassed about it. It is not something I typically tell people when I first meet them. And I hate revealing it at jobs, because I want to be seen as a strong, contributing team member, and I feel like that gets in the way. And it doesn't. For most of the work that I do, it doesn't. I can still look at a computer screen, and I have found ways to adapt and work with it, and work with the Zoom, and work with this, that, and the other, and how to make those things work for me. The area that I have not been able to overcome has been the driving. And even that, I use our county's Americans with Disabilities Services to take the bus. So I am being as independent as I possibly can. But at the same time, I have always seen that as a weakness. And part of living flawlessly is engaging with those weaknesses and accepting that they are part of who you are, and they aren't weak, and they don't detract from you. They are just part of you. So here is me with what will hopefully become my Sailor Nightmare Moon wig, living flawlessly, and showing my pansexual pride here at Pride Month, and all year round.